Gil Martin here, and welcome everybody to the Daily Packers Post, where we bring you in-depth coverage of the Green Bay Packers Monday through Friday. Don't forget to hit the like button and to subscribe so you get new videos as soon as they drop. Today, we're going to talk about a new playoff rules change that was proposed by the Detroit Lions and talk a little bit about how it would affect the Green Bay Packers, both last year, if it was in place, and going forward. Now, I think this rules change does, for the most part, make sense. And under the current system right now, a division winner earns one of the top 4 seeds in the playoffs, regardless of whether they have a better record than a wild card team. And, we've seen that result in some very strange and unfair playoff results. For example, you've had teams like in 2010, the Seahawks went 7-9. They ended up being the 4th seed and hosted a game against the 11-5 New Orleans Saints that year, even though New Orleans had a 4-game win total higher than what the Seahawks had. This past year in 2024, it hurt the Green Bay Packers. You had the NFC North being by far the deepest and strongest division in the NFL. Detroit finished 15-2. They were the top seed. Then Minnesota was in second place at 14-3. The Packers in third at 11-6. So what ends up happening? Detroit gets the bye in the first round of the playoffs. They are the top seed. But then Minnesota, even though they tied for the second best record in the league, they were the 5th seed. And then Green Bay was the 7th seed, even though both Tampa Bay and the LA Rams had worse records than both Green Bay and the Vikings. So the new proposal is that while division winners would still be guaranteed a playoff berth, and I think they do deserve that, teams in the playoffs would be seeded strictly by their record. So under the change that is proposed by the Lions last year, Detroit would have still been the top seed. Minnesota and Philadelphia would have tied for the 2nd seed at 14-3. And whoever would have won that tiebreaker would have been the 2. Whoever lost the tiebreaker would have been the 3. The Washington Commanders were 12-5. They would have been the 4th seed. Green Bay would have moved from the 7th seed to the 5th seed with an 11-6 record, while the Buccaneers and Rams would be the last 2 seeds. They both finished at 10-7. So, basically, Philadelphia and Minnesota would have faced Tampa Bay and LA in the first round of the playoffs, where the Packers would have ended up opening the playoffs in Washington against the Commanders. I think this just makes sense. I don't want division winners to be excluded from the playoffs. I want them to be rewarded for winning the division. But when it comes to playoff seeding, the best teams should be in the best position. And, the NFL, it wants parity. So they want, for example, teams with the worst record to get the highest draft picks and to have priority when claiming players on waivers. But it also wants to reward teams for doing well. And that means rewarding the teams that win the most games by giving them the top seed, home field advantage, and the ability to play the team with the worst record in the playoffs in the first round and every round after that. So I think this proposal by the Lions actually does have merit, and I hope that it does pass later this offseason when the NFL actually votes on it. Now, there were some other proposals. The Packers, as you probably have heard by now, want to ban the tush push. I also kind of favor that, although I think it has very little chance of succeeding. The tush push is kind of just a few years back, it was illegal to push a player with the football forward and assist them. That got changed because it was done all the time and very hard to call, whether it was intentional or unintentional. But really, the tush push is just annoying, and it's kind of a way to circumvent the rule and get around it. I don't like it. Maybe it's because it's been used against the Packers so often. I'm not going to lie that there may be some of that bias in me, but I would prefer to ban the tush push, which just rewards a big, bulky offensive line at the expense of actually having to call a play and execute it. So we'll see what happens with that. There were a few other rules proposed as well, but all of this has to be voted on later on in the offseason when the NFL Board of Governors meets and decides what to do. So, what is your opinion? Should the NFL change its playoff seeding policy going forward? We're going to have a poll up on our YouTube page, so feel free to comment and vote on that. Don't forget to check out our website at thepackerspost.com, where we'll have fresh articles every day, Monday through Saturday. And Saturday, we always have an article on Packers history, whether it's a big performance by a great player or a memorable game or moment. We're going to bring that to you, so make sure you check that out only on our website. Hit like, hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. I'm Gil Martin. I want to thank everybody for watching today's episode of the Daily Packers Post. Have a great day, everybody. And of course, go Pack Go.